the crystal gems will always save the day. And if you think we can't, we'll always find a way. That's why the people of this world believe in garnet, amethyst, and pearl, and Steven!
Welcome to Cookiecat Cast. I am your host, Jason, and with me today is Tyberius.
Ahoy, hoy!
Yes. Luke is not here right now. So we're just going to cover the episodes we have scheduled and go from there. It's Cheeseburger Backpack and Together Breakfast. Two food-themed episodes.
Yeah, that caused a lot of people early in the thing, like, man, is this kid's thing going to be all about eating food all the time?
Yeah, I actually, I remember that quite a lot in the first, I want to say the first 10 episodes. That was I don't feel it was a valid concern, but it did come up a lot. Don't worry, Steven is just chubby for his age. As he gets older, he evens out. As we'll see in a few episodes. So let's start with Cheeseburger Backpack. The songs, actually, technically there's no real song, but there's the Cheeseburger Backpack chant, which I feel should be a rallying cry for fans across the world, but I've been shouted down many times. And Hey, Mr.Postman, which I should have copied the lyrics to. It's pretty funny. Then let's get to the summary. Cheeseburger Backpack. Jamie the mail person, a character we'll see again real soon, I promise, delivers Steven's novelty cheeseburger backpack just in time for a mission to the Lunar Sea Spire. Attempting to prove he's not a liability to the gems, Steven packs his bag with tools for his adventure and his Mr. Queasy doll, because Mr. Queasy is hilarious. At the temple, Steven's first two attempts adventuring go very well. A pair of sweaters allow him to catapult into the spire, inspiring the other gems to do the same with Amethyst's whip. And further up, some bagel sandwiches allow them to avoid a fight with crystal shrimp. However, the raft he brought does not work as intended, and despite support from the other gems... It's okay, though. Garnet knocks over a pillar. I'm sure it wasn't an important one. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. Garnet clears the path to the top, and they attempt to put the statue into the base, which will restore the tower to its former glory. Unfortunately, Steven had forgotten the statue at home, and the spire rejects his replacement, Mr. Queasy, who explodes spectacularly. The spire sinks into the sea, but thanks to Steven's raft from before, nobody has to swim home, and they all have soggy bagel sandwiches. So, this is the first mission episode, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. This is probably not the most shining example of Steven not being annoying, but I like it. I think it shows that he's trying in his own way.
Yeah, he's got a backpack full of stuff, and he tries to, turn it around, and, he is pretty useful in this episode, surprisingly.
Yeah. I want to know what the sweaters are made of. This is the first monster, too. Well, second monster. This is the first horde of monsters, however, that we see in the series.
Oh, yeah, the crystal shrimp.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk about those in the theory section.
Yeah, we had some good stuff with Pearl fretting over Steven and worrying if he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Amethyst urging him. And Garnet just kind of, being cool.
Yeah, this is actually a very good showcase of how they act on missions. Pearl overplans. Amethyst doesn't care. And Garnet just takes action and makes sure everything happens the way it's supposed to. So, I mean, I think you get a good good grasp of who the gems really are in this. Especially love Pearl's little hologram chest thing. I think she was gonna stand on the ceiling.
Yeah. Like, my plan would have worked.
Yeah.
I love that she had to bring that up. Yeah, my plan would have also worked.
Yes. She's very, as we learn as the series goes on, Pearl is very insistent that her plans will always work. Not always correct. I do love, no one told Steven exactly what he would need in the temple. So he just packed things that I assume a child would take camping.
Yeah, he brought some snacks, and he brought some warm sweaters, and he brought, a raft.
Yeah, it's kind of a running theme. Like, I'm sure all the gems said was, "Oh, we're going to the ocean." So he's like, it'll be cold. I'll probably get hungry. I should bring a boat. They don't really explain things to him. And we'll see in the next episode, actually, that sort of bites them in the behinds, so to speak. Because it's actually one of the main themes of this first half of the series is if they would just talk to Steven, they could avoid a lot of heartbreak. But we'll get to that in Together Breakfast because it's actually one of the big plot points. So, any Easter eggs? I didn't see too many.
Well, I don't know if this is more for the theory section, but there's in the hologram of the Crystal Sea Spire, like all the old gems there, which kind of points to there being a lot of gems on Earth.
Yes. It was, Pearl's hologram. It did look fairly populated. It looked like it was a, I don't know, sort of a recreation area or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll bring that up in theories because there's some spoilers there, especially given the certain position of those gems in the hologram. So next up is Together Breakfast. Let's get into this. No songs in this one, unfortunately. I'm sure there was a background music song, but I couldn't find it on the.
You're missing the best background music for making the breakfast.
Oh yes.
Even have to slow down dubstep for the dropping the strawberry.
I don't think that's titled though, unfortunately. But I guess we can call it the waffle song. It's Steven creates a waffle tower to share with the gems. Unfortunately, the gems are all very busy. Hint, hint, this happens a lot. Undeterred, Steven sneaks into the temple, and after a series of misadventures, that's weird. I'm missing the misadventures. He finds himself in Pearl's room, falls down the waterfall in that room, into Amethyst's room, where she attempts to eat the breakfast. And then finally, he finds himself in the heart of the temple after a nice little Easter egg of something we'll see later, where he sees Garnet destroying an ultimate evil. He interrupts, unfortunately, and before it's completely destroyed, it possesses the waffles, and the most disturbing fight, I think, in the series occurs here. All the gems manage to work together with Steven and push it into the lava at the heart of the temple, destroying it. Afterwards, he recreates the waffle stack so they can eat it, but they decide to order a pizza after their ordeal. This one's actually got a lot of different things in it. There is an Easter egg we cannot talk about because it's a spoiler for well past the first 10 episodes, I want to say.
We do get our first view of the rest of the temple and the other gems' rooms.
Yeah.
We see very much that they reflect the other gems' personalities. Mm-hmm. You got, Amethyst's room is just a big junk pile.
More importantly, it's a cave.
A cave with a bunch of garbage. Pearl is got a lot of water, also, kind of harkening back to, pearls in the ocean. Amethyst is in the ground like a geode, or where amethysts are made. Garnet, there's a lot of fire.
We don't know if that's Garnet's room. I believe that's just the center of the temple. That is, however, where we see where bubbled gems go. So that's the first time we've seen that.
Something that comes up very often.
Yes. It's important to note, Amethyst's room doesn't look like it's part of the temple, but we'll learn later that it is, and the way it looks is kind of important for her character. Pay attention to the little tubes that connect the various rooms as well, because I thought it was kind of neat. They're actually veins that come off the literal heart of the temple. And that's something we'll talk about in the theory section as well. I don't know what was with that scroll. That is, so far, and this isn't a spoiler because I don't think it comes up again, that's the only non-gem artifact we've seen in the series.
Yeah, I can't think of any other off the top of my head.
No. Almost every other thing they go after is related to a gem in some way. This seems to be like an evil image. Like, it literally, she destroyed Steven's cell phone for taking a picture of it. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I think that's that we should add a counter for that. The first time his cell phone is destroyed. I'm sure he loses a couple more. So, overall, I like the episode. I think, again, this is an episode where if the gems had just explained to Steven what was going on, they could have avoided the fight at the end. The waffle monster was an interesting choice, I think.
Breakfast homunculus.
Yes. I don't know if it has an official name, but or maybe it is just Together Breakfast. That actually takes up a horrifying meaning when it's a monster. Become one with us. I think that's it for Together Breakfast. It's an okay episode. I would say the next two we're going to cover, Frybo and Catfingers, kind of blow it out of the water for just being disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look forward to those. And then let's move into mailbag / theories. We didn't get any mail this week either, but we welcome...
Mail us.
Yes.
We want to hear your opinions.
Yeah, we gave you a link, guys. Come on. We're going to go and... we'll take anything. And this is an open spoiler section. So feel free to talk about stuff that's already occurred if you're just a big fan of the series and you're caught up to the latest episodes, or just anything. I will press a point. Jasper isn't a fusion. Don't send us any of this.
Feats the controversy. I believe fervently
Yes.
she is a fusion.
Yes. Just no, we don't need those. I don't want to explain every week why that isn't the case. But so let's go into Mailbag. And this is, again, an open spoiler section. What we're going to talk about are plot points and concepts that relate to later in the show. More in depth than we do in the episode summaries and impressions. If you're watching along for the first time, feel free to skip to the end for shoutouts, where to find us on other projects and such. And we'll see you next week. For the rest of you, we're going to jump right into it. Not a lot this week. I do want to know what happened to Jamie, because he disappears until the second season, really.
He went to Kansas to be a star.
I know, but it seems like they were building him up more. I wonder if it was a voice actor thing.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just think, sometimes people just kind of disappear from your life.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Sometimes it's your mailman.
Like I I actually had when he showed up later. There were people, and I was like, "When did this guy show up?" Because I completely forgot he existed.
Yeah. And he's a great character. I feel like we kind of got gypped on Jamie time.
Yeah, he's cool. He becomes pretty cool.
Another thing, this doesn't come up till much later. I think the YouTube video they put up was sometime after Jailbreak. But apparently Steven collects novelty food backpacks. If you go on YouTube, you can find he did an unboxing for a hot dog duffel bag. It's pretty funny because if you're not familiar with the series, it looks like it's a troll video where he's all this fantastic stuff is happening in the background, and he's really trying to show off his hot dog duffel bag. And if you're familiar with the series, it makes perfect sense for Steven to not care about the monster attack in the background. It's a fun little. I think it's like a minute and a half. There's a couple other ones, but that one directly related to the episodes today. Let's see. I don't think there's much else in Cheeseburger Backpack. Obviously, if you're familiar, the Crystal Shrimp, who were pretty much standing in the same position as the gems in Pearl's little hologram, were clearly whoever was supposed to be taking care of the temple, the spire.
Oh, really? I never picked up on that. See?
Yeah. So, the way she reacts to them is kind of creepy. Like, she says their touch is deadly or something. But, I don't know.
It doesn't seem that tough. It seems weird for them to be kind of freaked out by him. You know? They've smashed minions before, or smashed smaller gems.
Yeah. So. Now, it's possible they aren't actually gem monsters, and there's like a mother crystal shrimp out there somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Looking at them, they seem like, you know, kind of like the baby centipedals and that one drill monster that sent out a bunch of little drills.
Yeah.
So I was thinking they're one of those, but I hadn't even considered.
I think they could be smaller gems. They could, as we'll see when they get to the Heaven and Earth beetle. Apparently, these important sites are guarded by gems that can fuse together.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's something to consider. I am curious what would have happened if they restored the tower. Maybe their goal there was if it worked, it would have cured the corruption. But it wasn't so important because the gems there weren't warriors or anything.
I don't think so. I think it would be more important. I mean, if they had a way, they would have tried it. That would be very important to them. I don't think they would have had Steven messing around. I think Pearl just wanted it more for like cultural significance.
That's true. She is clearly very homesick. And maybe it would have just been a place for her to chill.
And then, take Steven there and like, and here's, a beautiful statue of our greatest hero.
Yeah. There's probably some rose statues at the top that she wanted to see again. So I think, there's not a lot there. I mean, the most important part of this episode doesn't become apparent until closer to the end of the first season, when we get to the test. But I mean, it's still fun.
I liked it a lot. I haven't seen this episode that many times, but I liked it more than I remember liking it the first time. This was like just kind of a solid episode, just going on adventures.
Yeah. I mean, there's clearly better episodes in this vein, but it's not bad. It's one I could say you can probably skip it if you're not feeling it. And then let's go to Together Breakfast, and let's talk about the temple and all the stuff in there. We see a bit of Rose's room, which is neat. Which also implies there's an emergency exit in her room, which maybe Steven should look into. He always gets in trouble in there.
Hologram room, man, it's like all things attached to Rose, they seem deceptively dangerous.
Indeed. I mean, honestly, rewatching this, when I saw Amethyst's room again, which is weird because they've shown it several times since, it kind of synced with me that, oh, she made her room a cave. Because I assume most of the gems have a room that fits their personality, and obviously Rose would be like, maybe I feel like something different today. So hers isn't set, but everyone else's probably looks a specific way.
That is an interesting insight into Rose. It's just like, hey,
yeah,
I have, depending on what I have, I can create whatever I want. Maybe trading room, maybe close proximities of people he's met.
Yeah. Well, we have to assume she knew how to word things to the room better than Steven does. So it probably didn't go all Star Trek on her. I recall reading a few times that Greg would probably have been in the room a lot, and that's why when Steven first enters, that's the most accurate person in it. But I feel like it's probably just that it can read his mind. And obviously the person in the city he knows the best to be his dad. We're kind of going off on tangents here instead of talking about theories. So I do have one theory regarding the temple. Like last week, I think it's their ship. And what ties this together for me is the vein tubes. Because when we see the hand ship later in Jailbreak, there are tubes all around it that match up with the veins in a hand.
That fits. Makes a lot of sense, Maybe they're like, that's the crash remains of like a bigger ship, with like a huge like gym ship.
Yeah. I assume we'll find out eventually. It looks like, obviously the temple itself might have been built around the remains, which is why some of the arms have fallen off and some haven't. We'll see, though. I don't know. There's not a lot else. Like I said, I want to talk about that picture. It drives me crazy because I don't know if that's just Garnet's like, oh, this could be a problem later. I better go kill it. And it's just something from Earth itself, or
It's just the magic thing not made with gems, or maybe some other kind of magic, because it's definitely magic. But
see, I never see people mention it, but it's clearly something important, and I know they're going to blindside us with it at some point. So I'm waiting for you, sugar. I don't know. Other than that, there was a fun little romp through the temple. It was basically just another episode to reinforce the gems' personalities, but you know what? You could be right. It could be Ruby's room, the heart of the temple. She is a fire element.
Long story how they met. That would be.
That would be nice. So we can assume the original 4 gems before they met Amethyst, or 3 if you want to count Garnet as just being 1, are all crew members on the ship. So they would each have their own room, and they're probably all officers, which is why they have a key to the door.
That makes sense. Even though I'm thinking they would be at like certain levels, like Rose is in charge, Pearl is her servant.
Well, Rose's gem is on the top. Ruby and Sapphire seem to be to the left and right of her. Pearl is bottom. I want to say bottom left, but I don't think they're that I think they're color-coded on the door.
Although that brings up
Might
an
be
interesting
mistaken.
question. Like, if it's a ship, then did they change it when they found Amethyst? Because they didn't have Amethyst until they got to Earth.
Yeah. I assume they added her to the door, and they clearly at that point didn't care about rank. Like Peridot says, Amethyst should have been up there with Rose. So, at that point, they clearly just abandoned Gem Society and gave her her own room. There's a lot they have to cover. I mean, I know eventually we're going to get an episode where they explain how they met Amethyst. But, man, this episode actually has a lot of questions in it.
Well, I bet when you first watched it, you didn't notice any of it.
Well, I noticed the door, and I noticed how... This is where I figured out Garnet was a fusion. Because I noticed there were more spots on the door than gems. And I knew something was up with Garnet then, because she was the only one with 2 gems. Then I think Giant Woman is, I want to say 4 or 5 episodes after this. Then I'm like, oh. And no one believed me, but history has proven me correct.
Vindicated, it's been. It only
Yes.
took, 26 or 40 episodes. That must have been very satisfying.
It was. I didn't cry. I want you to know. No. So I think that's it. Did you have any theories or anything?
Not really. Can't think of any.
Okay. See, this is why we need questions, people. Well, maybe next week. I'll put out the mailbag call earlier. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. You can find me on Facebook.com/RobotHousePodcast. That's where I post this podcast and my other one, Nerds at Lunch. We also have a YouTube channel, same name, Robot House Podcast, and both of them are up there as well. Tiberius, where can they find you?
You can find me on the Roll for Your Life podcast, part of the Viking Rocket Ship podcast network. Also on the internet, on Twitter, Delirious Tiberius. And, that's about it.
And Luke isn't here today, but you can find him on the same podcast as Tiberius just mentioned, and Teens with Attitude. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Power Rangers podcast. I will add those links to the show notes. And we will see you guys next week.